This is where they fix the squishy ones.
To quote Ironhide from Dark of the Moon, class dismissed.
We call him NBE01.
This is the one time I'm like, what? Like, absolutely, like, because, like...
Welcome again, students, to the monthly gathering of your humble faculty. Unfortunately, our Dean of the Arts, ID Armed, is once again indisposed, as he is currently under the custody of the Pinkertons, after having early access to Legacy United Scrounge, of all things. However, I am joined by our esteemed Dean of Critique, Runestone.
Yeah, baby, yeah!
And our headmaster himself, purveyor of the Chugcratic method, Kit Catastrophe.
Man, I really gotta stop scheduling these on race days, don't I?
Yes, and do I introduce the topic now?
Sure, you can.
Fuck it. This month we will be discussing crossovers. We are going to be discussing the previous crossovers in Transformers history, and then in service of our quest to become the top gear of the Transformers community, where I have set myself and my fellow faculty the challenge to come up with our own crossover ideas, and of two categories: ones that might happen, could happen within reason, and then completely out there ideas.
Yes. Very exciting.
Yes,
very,
I look forward to
very,
it.
very nice creative exercise on our part.
Yeah, I thought it would be a bit of fun. Did you Did you guys enjoy coming up with your ideas?
Yeah, it was actually kind of hard to come up with something plausible, but I think I went in a good direction. A very predictable one for me, but you know.
Yeah, I enjoyed coming up with my ideas. I kind of flip-flopped on what my In Your Dreams idea was going to be, but I like how it came out. And I had the idea for the other one for a long time. I mean, it's a bit of a no-brainer when you think about it. Rune?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I had fun too. I mean, plausibility is cool and all, but when we're doing these just for fun, I think plausibility is kind of defenestrated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Catholics in Prague. So, how is everyone? Runestone, you weren't here last episode. How was your trip across time and space?
I'm sorry, I thought you said that I was on gardening leave.
Oh, yes. That's right. Sorry. Well, you were traveling through time at a rate of 1 second per second, and traveling through space at, I assume, a leisurely walking speed. So I am technically correct.
Unfortunately, I'm not in a universe where hay fever doesn't exist.
Over here, it's already pushing 100 degrees outside, so...
Yeah, small mercies. Yeah.
So, shall we... we have a very, very, very meaty presentation before us today.
To the point...
Should we just...
Yeah, to the point where we're just skipping some of the other segments we usually do, like recent purchases. We're just cutting right to the chase.
Yes. Slide number 2. Ooh, G.I. Joe. I actually haven't really looked over these slides very much. I was just focused on doing my own. So, Runestone, I assume you have a lot to say about these, since you were the one who put them together in the first place.
Yeah, I'll take over this one for a bit. Because I think when a lot of people think Transformers crossovers as a whole, at least one franchise that might come to mind is another Hasbro property, G.I. Joe. Because they've crossed paths multiple times in comics, the original Transformers cartoon via the episode Only Human, and long before the recent collaborative figures, we've had a fair few toys and merchandise, though Weirdly enough, the first attempt never actually made it to shelves. If you look on the left-hand side, outlined in green, is a Transformers G.I. Joe crossovers design from the 90s that didn't actually make it past the prototype stage. It was planned to be an original character that turned into a 1:18 scale 6-wheeled armored personnel carrier with an optional overhead cannon in robot mode that makes Armada Hotshot jealous. You can tell that this was designed around the time of Generation 2 because it has an air pressure launch. Well, it would have had an air pressure based launching feature similar to Combat Hero, Optimus Prime, and Megatron. Regardless of how the final product might have turned out, I'll give it one thing. Compared to recent offerings, the robot actually incorporates a fair bit of the vehicle into its design. Wouldn't you say?
Yes, that's a big criticism I have of the official new GoBots, GI Joe Transformers. Sorry, they both start with a G. I got confused. Yeah. This I do wonder why this never came to fruition, honestly, because it seems like something of a no-brainer marketing wise.
Still, looking at the toy, I wouldn't say it's a very big loss that it was never released, but it is a pretty interesting curio nonetheless. It really, the whole aesthetic really reminds me of those, I believe, European exclusive Power Space Masters.
You mean the Turbo Masters?
No, they were at the tail end of G2. They were all like unilegged, and God, there was Ironhide and Bullet Bike, and I think one or two others. But even though it doesn't like do any of the same things as those, it just really reminds me of them for some reason. Runestone, you know what I'm talking about, right? I'm not crazy.
Are you talking about like a mix of G2 and Euro G1?
No, I'm talking about like really late G2.
I'll probably have to look it up, but
Okay, I'll mute myself while you continue talking, and I'll just look up some pictures on TF Wiki of what I'm talking about.
I will say it's kind of interesting that it appears it doesn't mount any GI Joe characters, which of course is the big gimmick for the new GI Joe toys, that they basically work as regular GI Joe vehicles, as well as being Transformers.
I mean, keep in mind that, of course, this is a prototype, a recent prototype. You may not see it, but the head apparently was just pulled from G1 6-Shot. Presumably, it would have had a different design in the final product.
I see.
So maybe it could have worked in a bunch of other features, like what you just said, the ability to carry G.I. Joe figurines or whatever.
I do actually remember... I recall there also having been mock-ups for G.I. Joe Transformers crossovers where they did a similar thing where they basically modified, I think it was Unicron Trilogy figures with like model kit parts as mock-ups. It never got to fruition, but it was certainly neat. It was interesting to see. I'm not sure if this is related to that attempt. I mean, obviously not, but I suppose it shows that they've tried a couple times before.
Oh yeah, I see the pictures you posted in the chat, Kit. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes, those, especially Ironhide, the top right one. I don't know. It just looks right at home with them. Like he could be like the Thunderclash to them, to their little group. Even though two of them are Decepticons.
I don't really see it personally.
It's just a vibe. Anywho,
So shall I continue with the rest of the slide?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so since that prototype, we've had a bunch of products consisting of Transformers characters that homage G.I. Joe vehicles and vice versa. For the former, there's the likes of Energon's Snowcat, who turns into the vehicle of the same name, and Combiner Wars Viper, whose deco is patterned after the Cobra Rattler jet. For the latter, G.I. Joe's Sky Striker was done as both Starscream and Jetfire. The latter Hasbro was actually sued for. The Hiss Tank as Soundwave and several others. There's also various figurines and statues like Bludgeon, RC's human form, Baroness with a chained Ravage, who himself was redecorated into, of all bots, the German Marvel comic character Black Cat. Oh, and to wrap it up, there's a certain abomination outlined in red, but whatever.
I mean, that's G.I. Joe in name only. It's not really based on anything, is it?
Oh, no.
No, yeah. Yes, that toy always did confound me, but I suppose I suppose they just called it G.I. Joe Megatron because there already was a titanium Megatron, and I suppose they wanted to differentiate him.
Could you tell me a little bit about these Soundwave and blasters in alternate mode? I'm assuming they're accessories for larger figures.
Yes, they were. I think they were accessories with some of the. It was either the vehicle. It would definitely be like the vehicles. As far as I can say, I don't know much more about them than that because I don't have. Well, with the exception of Combiner Wars Viper, I don't really have any of these.
I do regret not getting Viper when he was in stores. He does look neat.
All I had was that mini con up at the top. Sold them off because I was missing bits of the set. Oh God, Rusty's here.
The Sky. Did you say Sky Striker is the name of the jet? I forget.
Yes.
Yes, the Sky Striker Jetfire is of course interesting because the original Jetfire toy was based on the VF1, and the VF1 itself was explicitly based on the F-15, which is what the Sky Striker is. Which is it's a neat full circle thing, and of course why Harmony Gold went on to attempt to copyright strike them, but they didn't actually go through. Hasbro won that lawsuit.
Yeah. So, sorry, just quickly to answer your question, the blaster is actually what came with that Jetfire.
Oh, gotcha. Cool.
I'm not too interested in the Joe figures that reference Transformers, just because I'm not a Joe collector. You know, I don't have any disrespect for it, but it's just not my scene. I will say though, it's unfortunate that there aren't more G.I. Joe Transformers that turn into G.I. Joe vehicles. That feels like a missed opportunity there, because of course we had Snowcat, but that was about it. And Snowcat isn't even one of the well-known G.I. Joe vehicles.
Yeah. I mean, there are things that scratch that particular itch, but I think they're a little different from what you mean per se. But yeah, as far as crossovers with G.I. Joe are concerned, my interest begins and ends with the Skybound comics. So yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of experience with anything else featured on this. I do have Snowcat though, but that was because I got him when he came out.
I mean, the problem I have with Transformers G.I. Joe is it often feels like such an easy slam dunk, and yet it just feels like they kind of continuously fumble it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I haven't been exposed to any other crossovers besides Skybound, but I hear none of them are very good. But the new comics are decent. They haven't really had much of a chance to cross over yet, but you know, so far the runs themselves are good. My comic shop did not have the recent issue of Cobra Commander, so I am out of date, but hopefully we will fix that next week. Shall we move on?
Actually, before we move on, I gotta say though, I actually do really like the look of I think it's Serpenter OR from Generation Scourge.
Yeah, it's a funky color scheme on that mold. He's Mardi Gras colored. I should buy it. Literally colored after my favorite holiday in the entire year.
It's funny looking. It seems to have the rat bat head, or is that a unique head for it?
No, that's I think that's Rat Bat.
Yeah, it's recycled from the Senator Ratbat head that they did.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I have to say on it.
Moving right along, I suppose. Ooh, Runestone,
Ooh.
you are by far the expert on these.
Oh boy. Animorphs, Transformers. So, whether or not you want to consider these crossovers, I don't care. I'll take any chance I can to poke fun at these. So, Animorphs is a sci-fi book series written by Catherine Applegate and her husband, Michael Grant. Amongst other tie-in media, you had the live-action TV show and, of course, the toy line. Only the book series was what you might call successful. The basic premise is that a group of kids or teenagers gain the power to morph into animals to fight an alien invasion. And with that in mind, you can kind of see why this toy line was a thing. A series where beings change forms. Where have I heard that before? However, the problem with this line is that the Animorphs in-universe change forms in a way that is impossible to replicate in toy form. It's basically akin to metamorphosis, where the human body contorts or changes shape. It's the sort of thing you see in werewolf features. Like if I were to morph into a bird, for instance, I'd stay away from Kit for starters, but also my nose and mouth would stretch out into a beak. My arms would become the closest biological equivalent, the wings, and so on and so forth. Toy technology is not that advanced, so they had to resort to the part shifting method of the robots. What you see are the results of this. Animals that turn into what I can only call freaks of nature. And it's not just the part shifting, but most of the humans' legs are just the animal's legs with no transformation elements at all. Like, I think even the packaging even markets some of these as mid-morph modes, which is lame because, to me, part of the appeal of the transforming action figure is how distinct each mode can be, to the point where you ask, are these even the same toy? When one mode is sculpted to be part way through its conversion, it kind of takes away from the magic, if you will. The figures on screen right now, those are the deluxes that hit shelves worldwide. Before I press on, do you two have anything to say on these so far?
Not anything that you've said. These things look like a travesty. I mean, I've seen your reviews of all the ones you have, and man, even when you're being generous, you can't make them look that good.
Yeah, like, again, I understand where they were coming from, but given the circumstances, it was just doomed to fail as far as I can see. I honestly don't know how it could have worked. There might be a way, but it certainly wasn't this. Because they basically transform by strip teasing. Because like
Marco.
Yeah, because like a bunch of them have a bunch of them like have gloves, like animal gloves that cover the human hands. And like you say, Marco also comes with like a essentially
a G-string.
Yeah, pretty much. It doesn't. It also doesn't help that he comes with a fucking whip. But but anyway, like I said, those are the deluxes that were released worldwide, and it gets worse.
Yes,
because like the top two figures on the left-hand side, those are the figures that were only released in Europe, and I actually managed to acquire the Taxon, or like the Taxon Alien Deluxe that you can see with the alien style neck.
Inevitably, I think the alien ones are the most successful because with the alien ones, you have more creative license with the design, so you can make make them in a way that integrates parts of the of one mode into another. Of course, how a transformer should work.
Yeah, I mean,
like look at those two Andalites on the right side. They look like fine toys, like genuinely good toys.
well, I'd question that for the the top one, Axe, and I'll just finish off this slide first. Because in addition to those two deluxes, you also had the 3 mega class figures: Axe into Scorpion, Visa 3 into the Inferno creature, and at the bottom, Tobias into a bird, a hawk. You also have the Ultra Visa 3 on the bottom left-hand corner, which is actually a triple changer from Andalite to Hawk Bragier to an Inferno creature. And then to wrap things up, we have that thing, the Trirex. Jake, Cassie, and Marco combine into a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And to be fair, that mode is the strongest point of the toy. My advice, super glue the damn thing and never take it apart ever again.
Where's the fun in that?
But to piggyback off of what you were saying, Char, I do agree about the alien figures, and in a future podcast I'd like to do, I might be touching on one of them because I can explain how, at the very least, I could explain how the Vista 3-2 Inferno creature works better than a lot of the other figures in this line. But in the grand scheme of things, I think the best way to sum up the toy line is like this. The whole toy line is pretty much like Beast Machine Silverbolt. You know it's a mess. And yet, you want it anyway for sheer amusement value. Well, I know I certainly did. I also say that they produced 4 other molds for this line, but we'll put a pin in that one for now. So if you have anything else to say about these, you have the floor.
I mean, the chat doesn't want to put a pin in it now. Diego, Danke, Hote, Rai. I still don't know what the hell that's supposed to say. Don't make fun of Animorphs too much. Without them, we would lack the peak that is the Beast Wars mutants and Mr. Inferno Beast. I'm assuming he means the red one. That thing just straight up looks like a Deathclaw from Fallout. Now that I think about it.
It seems Rusty has a lot of opinions on the Animorph toys.
Yeah, he's saying if he was an Animorph, he would turn into a human and beat the shit out of me.
How do you know that he isn't? How do you know that he isn't an Animorph who's simply reaching off you?
I don't. I just haven't seen him do it.
He's a Nithlit.
Sure. I've only read the first book. And that was like 15 years ago.
Yeah, I do not remember reading any of the books. I just know that they were around a lot of the time in like school libraries and stuff.
Yeah, there were like a shit ton of them. But like,
wasn't there like 20 books? But
something like that, probably more. I think there were 36.
I think there were 52, and that's not counting the Megamorphs books that they did as well.
Shit.
Jeez. You know, I do wonder, do you think these molds would have been any better if they were more Beast Wars styled? You know, just try not to make them humans, just make them like robot Beast Wars characters. Do you think the engineering would work?
I mean, I think so, absolutely. Because I mean, Beast Wars is good. Beast Wars already exists, so you can just directly compare them.
Yeah,
I
like
know.
these figures came out around the same time as the Transmetal 2s.
Wow. They knew what they were doing by then. That's honestly what surprises me then, because you know, when you the giant T-Rex, for instance, it doesn't even I don't think you could even save that by making it into a Transformers figure, because the proportions are just so, well, not even the proportions, just like the poor girl at the back has to have an entire T-Rex tail for an arm.
Beast Wars Megatron, you are not.
You will
And
never be him.
it's actually funny that you should ask that question, because online, and I'm pretty sure I posted a link to this somewhere before, but someone actually kit bashed a bunch of these Animorphs toys into like actual Transformers characters. Like, I distinctly remember that the Mega Class Hawk Tobias was actually done up as Jetfire.
Yeah. I think you showed me that a while ago. I remember that looking actually pretty decent.
I haven't seen that. If you could post a link for that, I'd be interested to see that. But yeah, these are just travesties.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's like you said, Char, even if the Trirex components were like robots instead of humans, like they'd still have things like kibble and proportion problems to contend with. But as humans, they are nightmare fuel.
Yes, yes.
Especially who is it? Who is it? Rachel the lion. Ugh.
Though I suppose body horror was a very significant aspect of the books, so I guess it's appropriate.
I love me some body horror, man. Love it, love it, love it. At any rate, these Runestone, these are the most recent crossovers you've reviewed. But next slide is the first crossover you ever reviewed.
I have experience. I'm the one with the most experience with reviewing these things.
Yeah, you've reviewed pretty much all the crossovers besides GI Joe up until Collaborative.
Well, I don't. Well, we'll get into that later. But
yeah,
now
the big three ones.
Well, here we move on to the Star Wars Transformers, and you know, it's a fairly straightforward concept. Mechanized figures of the characters from the films, or you know, various Star Wars media, which transformed into the vehicles they piloted from the original and prequel trilogies, and presumably other media like the Clone Wars cartoons. Luke Skywalker into X-Wing, Darth Vader into TIE Advanced, Boba Fett into Slave One. You get the idea.
I have the Snowspeeder.
So go on.
I actually got the Snowspeeder like 5 years ago, mint in box at a shop, and it sucks. It sucks.
Well, yeah, we're gonna get to that in a bit. But toys from the earlier waves also came with mini pilot figures that you could fit in alt mode. Other accessories included were weapons such as lightsabers. There were ultimately three size classes: Class 1 for small scale, Class 2, which we saw the most of. They were roughly deluxe sized for the time, if not slightly bigger. And finally, the larger Class 3 toys. I mean, some of the larger sets weren't labeled as Class 3, but you had the Han Solo and Chewbacca Millennium Falcon combiner, and my favorite figure of the line, Darth Vader into the Death Star. And for what it's worth, the line did better compared to Animorphs, but the toys still had a lot of problems. A fair few of them were quite fragile, with some being made of cheap-feeling plastic. Plus, a number of the designs seemingly struggled to incorporate the vehicle into the mech mode, with some outright having shell former transformations. Hello, Luke Snowspeeder. mind you, having said that, so does Death Vader, as I call him. Yet, I actually think he's really cool. Probably because the Death Star parts add to the overall look of the mech mode. Like, it adds to the overall silhouette. and they don't make him horrifically back heavy. Plus the I mean, when it comes to the smaller figures, the pilot figure gimmick probably didn't help matters either, as the earlier toys pretty much had to be built around that. Because when it was dropped,
well,
go
you
on.
say that, but I know because I had like a bunch of these toys as a kid. Because like even in the later waves when they stopped including the figurines, they still had cockpits.
The price they paid for backwards compatibility. I appreciate that at least.
Yeah.
Well, maybe some of them did, but I don't think all of them had the cockpit gimmick.
Well, the only later Star Wars, I have 3 of these. 2 of them from the initial Star Wars Transformers run, and the third one from when they just subsumed it into the general crossovers line. So, of course, the 2 earlier ones have the cockpits, but the third one is a clone tank. So I don't know where they would put the cockpit. It doesn't come with one.
You mean Commander Cody?
No, it's it's the clone gunner, and he turns into like a tank.
Is
It's
it
also-
the hover tank one?
Yeah, it's also like the most horrifically yellowed figure in my entire collection.
Yeah, as Runestone mentioned, something about the plastic that they used for this toy line just does not feel good. I have the ATTE that turned into Captain Rex. I have that.
That's the
And
Six Walker, right?
Yes,
Gotcha.
the Beetle.
I always thought of it more of a rhinoceros, but yeah, beetle makes sense.
A rhinoceros beetle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a shame because it's one of my favorite vehicles from Star Wars. But the plastic they use on there is some of the worst plastic I've ever experienced on an official Transformers toy. The knees just feel like, I don't know. They just, it feels like they made it out of the kind of plastic that you expect to get from Transformers toys you get at Poundland or something.
Yeah. And another thing going from the standalone line to the crossovers line is that they got visibly cheaper too. Like you can tell the Millennium Falcon, the Death Star, and the X-Wing, they're all from the first line, but I think that's Plo Koon up at the top. He looks like shit. He looks cheap. He looks cheap.
In Plo Koon's defense, that is from the smaller scale one that were about
I will give you that, but it's visibly cheaper than the others. And the others aren't even, well, I mean, specifically Luke here isn't even that good.
I mean, I will say one thing. The Han Solo Chewbacca combiner does actually feel like, for the most part, the plastic quality does feel a bit better. But the trade-off for that is that Chewbacca is a gold plastic syndrome victim.
Oh.
Come on, Runestone, you got to do it too. It's tradition.
What?
You have to do the
You have
Chewbacca
to make
noise.
You
Was
have
my-
to
was
do
my-
a Disney noise.
Yay!
Hey.
Hooray, we've all made funny noises. Let's move on. I mean, yeah, because I've done multiple slides for these.
God, how many slides is there for Star Wars alone?
Oh,
There's
yeah,
that
I
and
know.
there's another one.
Okay.
If you go back to the other one, so
The funny thing is the number of these I had. Like I have the Boba Fett. I had the Boba Fett. I had the Obi-Wan Kenobi from this slide, and I had the regular version of the droid tank, and the General Palpatine shuttle. I had all of those as a kid. I don't know why I had so many.
Can we just appreciate that the shuttle's mistransformed?
Oh yeah.
like I've owned, like I said, I've owned a fair few of these.
And reviewed them.
One I do want to talk about a little bit is Emperor Palpatine, because he actually would theoretically be one of the best of the line, if not for his absolutely horrendous quality control. The wings are clipped together onto the body by a single clip each, and the the post, like for the back fin, the post is too small for the hole. Like it doesn't stay in at all.
I'm sure Palpatine's faced that trouble many times before.
Yeah, that checks out because that Palpatine, the first thing that happened to it during my childhood is I lost the wings. I lost the wings for it, or they've come off and they've never been reattached.
There's just some really baffling design choices on these. Like the I think it's the Eta 2 starfighter that they did for Mace Windu. He's horrifically back heavy as well, and he has fucking Lego Man hands.
Yes, I have that mold as well as Obi-Wan.
The AT-AT and Boba Fett, they both have the same issue of the upper body is fine, but the lower body is completely phoned in. Like those legs on Boba Fett are tiny and scrawny as hell, and on the AT-AT, it's just the legs of the AT-AT itself.
I mean,
I'll argue that that's actually peak.
I like the idea of the legs of the AT-AT becoming the legs of the robot. I feel like they just should have done more with it. Maybe have like part of the something that comes down to make the lower leg a bit more built, something like that.
Yeah, like that could have worked, but as is, it just looks ugly to me.
Do you still own your Star Wars Transformers?
Me?
No, Rune.
No.
Got rid of them all?
Yeah, I sold them off long ago.
Are there any of the Hasbro run that you would actually go back to get? Or like ones that you never had?
I don't know. Like I might buy a few as despite the negative criticisms I've given this line, I would buy some of these as like a birthday or Christmas present for someone I know, because they're generally into Star Wars and Transformers, so they might like these.
I would totally go for that Yoda.
I think
so I can say I have a Yoda.
I mean, go on, Char.
Oh, I was just going to say that brings me to a question. So one of the criticisms leveled against this line was that the fact that they had to turn into the fact that the vehicles had to turn into Star Wars characters or mechs of Star Wars characters was something that hampered the line. Do you guys agree that you think they would have the toy line would have been better off if it had just been not necessarily Transformers characters, but not explicitly Star Wars characters transforming into just like OCs?
I think we can answer that on the next slide.
Well, here's the thing. Even if these were sculpted to be original characters and not mechanized versions of the Star Wars cast, I'm not entirely sure. Like a lot of the Star Wars vehicle designs, to me, well, I mean, they were never designed to transform, so they're already hard to get like fully functioning robot modes out of to begin with. And there's also the fact that initially, like with the main line from like 2005 to 2012 or whenever it ended, these were not managed by Takara. Takara had no involvement in the making of these.
Yeah, that explains it. That explains a lot of things. I was gonna say because this was the same era as like Energon and Cybertron and the 07 lines. So it's really surprising that that this toy line had appeared to be such a sort of downgrade in engineering.
Yeah.
Also, I will rebut the statement that the fact that these were not designed to transform means that the robot modes would not be good, because we have seen we have seen like very good Transformers designs made of real life vehicles and of fictional vehicles that were never designed.
The Lamborghini Countach was never designed to transform.
Yeah.
I don't think that's not really the point I was trying to make. Like, obviously, there are a lot. Obviously, real world vehicles are never exactly designed to transform into robots. I'm talking about these specific designs. are tricky to get robots out of.
Still, I think there's always a way to do it right for no matter what kind of vehicle you're trying to eke a robot out of. You just it really is just down to being the character from the movie, because if it's just a glup shitto, you can just play around with the proportions of the robot mode to suit the vehicle mode, you know. Like a lot of these are like really skinny ships, like the Darth Maul one has a very skinny nose. The Attack of the Clones Jedi fighter, whatever, that is basically a wedge. You just have to be clever with how you're using the shapes.
I think
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is just a lack of involvement by Takara, as well.
Yeah.
I
As
gotta
we
agree.
might we might debate that a little further with the next slide if we're ready.
Yes.
Oh wait, there's
'Cause,
also-
Takara actually did do some.
Well,
Yeah.
before we get on to those, I do want to bring up that one of the last figures in the line was a quad changer. You had Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader, Star Destroyer, and the Republic attack cruiser. It looks horrendously back heavy and seems to rely on parts forming more than anything else, and yet it seems so stupidly fun at the same time.
Yes, I have actually seen this in thrift stores and flea markets around. I haven't decided. I haven't gotten it, but it's certainly chunky. It's a very big figure in person, surprisingly, or not surprisingly, I guess.
It just looks like a pain to me. Like, it doesn't even look stupidly fun. It just looks like something that'll piss you off when you try to pick it up.
Yeah. I mean, if Thew's review is to be believed, then the wedge pieces don't even attach properly in Darth Vader mode.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess points for ambition, but deduct them all and more for execution.
Yeah. Also,
if anything else to say about that one?
Oh, I was just gonna say the thing we mentioned earlier. It made the thing Kit mentioned earlier. I just thought I got a funny idea in my head of Enzo Ferrari sketching out the Lamborghini Countach and thinking, man, this is gonna make a really cool robot.
Enzo Ferrari didn't.
Whoever, I don't fucking. I'm not a car guy.
Listen. Lamborghini, the car company, only exists to spite Enzo Ferrari. Lamborghini was a tractor manufacturer, and God, what was his name? It was Mr. Mr. Lamborghini wanted to work for Ferrari and make cars, and Ferrari was just like, peace off. And so he did, and he went and made his own car company with blackjack and hookers.
So
and his cars get to be made into Transformers, and Enzo's don't. But that's a whole different story.
So as I was saying, Takara didn't have a hand in the initial line. It was basically primarily Hasbro. Though Takara Tomy would take a shot in 2018, and only 2 molds were made: a new Darth Vader TIE Advanced and another Millennium Falcon Combiner. So I do think these look quite. It's a big improvement over their Hasbro counterparts.
Very much, because they're definitely they're definitely Transformers first. Like, they do still do the thing where they are supposed to be the characters. Like, but Han Solo is at least a little Transformerified, abstracted. But you can tell Chewbacca is still supposed to be Chewbacca. Darth Vader is supposed to be Darth Vader. But in his defense, Darth Vader's suit really plays into the whole aesthetic of the Empire anyway. So it blends together pretty well. But yeah, they just went, okay, let's make a fun robot and then make the hidden parts look like the dude, you know, like the parts that get revealed.
Hmm.
It's a much
And
healthier balance.
yeah, I think I speak for everyone when I say that these look a lot better than the Hasbro versions. And no, this is not me just being tribalistic against Hasbro. um, I think the use of space is much better on the Takara figures. They seem to be more inspired in the way that they figured out these transformations, and I'm pretty sure the Millennium Falcon is actually better proportioned than the Hasbro one. It's thinner on the y-axis.
Yes. Be kind of funny if this Chewbacca had GPS too.
I don't think he does. Knock on wood.
Hopefully not. I think it's just brown plastic, though.
What I find kind of interesting and surprising is that because, like I said, this was in 2018, and as bashed as it is in hindsight, I'm surprised that they didn't try to capitalize on the sequel trilogy by making like the ships from that into Transformers.
I mean, if Takara had been involved, then then it probably would have been better than the original crossover series.
No question.
So maybe some good could have come out of those movies. Oh well.
Another thing I do want to bring up is the fact that not too long ago there was a leaked listing for a Star Wars collaborative, and given something that we're going to bring up later, it could be a new mold, but it could also potentially be an import of one of these two.
I'd buy it. I had a chance to get the Darth Vader one and I missed it, but yeah, I'd buy it. I'd buy it in a heartbeat.
I'd get the Millennium Falcon. I have distinct memories as a kid of being in Toys R Us and wanting the original Millennium Falcon Transformer. On the top shelf, so close yet so far away.
That's our tagline. But yeah, shall we move on to the next crossover in our little historical survey?
Yep.
All right. Marvel.
So, yes. Then there were the Marvel crossovers. Again, mechanized versions of the characters which turned into vehicles that may or may not fit thematically. And I think it's safe to say that of the three lines, I'd say this one had the best reception.
Yeah, by far, this one looks the most successful at the idea.
There were oddities here and there. Some were generally misproportioned. Thor's deco clearly favors the mech mode.
Yeah.
But on the whole, go on, Char.
Oh, I was just going to say, the funny thing about Thor is, yeah, it's a crossover figure, but that is the cleanest looking A10 Warthog figure, Warthog alt mode I have seen on a mainline Transformer.
Are you sure it's a Warthog and not a Thunderbolt? I'll see myself out.
Yeah.
That was probably the joke they were going for.
Yeah, that's my assumption that was the reason they chose that alt mode specifically. But like, it's just, I don't know, it's just surprising to me that the crossover figure has the best A10 alt mode. I wonder if anyone's ever customized it into Power Glide.
I mean, my biggest issue with this line is that half the bloody range was made up of Iron Man and Spider-Man, or recolors of the two.
I mean, Spider-Man is Marvel's bread and butter, so it doesn't really surprise me that he was everywhere. Iron Man had a pretty successful movie coming out around that time.
Yeah, I'm not exactly surprised. Also, Iron Man is if anyone can have a million different toys of him and have it be justified, it's Iron Man, because he has a million different suits for a million different jobs.
True. It really confuses me that this line pretty much petered out or Peter Parkered out right around the time of the first Avengers movie. Like, you
Yeah.
think with how meteoric Marvel became over the next 8 years, that the toy line would continue to be successful, but no, they just sort of killed it prematurely. Like,
Yeah, it is.
Imagine if we got like Marvel crossovers, Rocket Raccoon, or Red
Star-Lord.
Skull, or freaking Nick Fury.
Yeah. It is interesting. That they decided to stop with it.
They could have made Thanos' car real.
They could have made the Thanos copter real.
True. Hey! He's a big enough character that could warrant 2 molds. They
Oh
could do
god,
both.
no! Thanos triple changer.
Yes.
I also want to bring up the fact that there were only 2 villains in this entire line, and guess what? They were redecos of each other, Venom and Carnage.
Yes.
Oh.
Let me just. Okay, sorry. I was just seeing what was up next.
Well, it's just more of the Marvel range.
Yeah. But this looks like unreleased stuff or late wave stuff.
Not entirely, because you had things like the Spider-Man and Iron Man combiner. Outlined in blue are the various gimmick toys that spawned off from the Marvel crossovers line, because you have like those weird one-step changes, and the flip and attack figures, which basically ape the gimmick of the jump starters, top spin and twin twist. And to be fair, that did give us another villain with the lizard from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That is interesting though. That they basically just retooled a toy from the 90s for that subline. 80s. My bad.
I gotta say, the blue Human Torch goes really hard. I wish that came out.
Yeah, outlined in purple are the figures that got cancelled, or at the very least, they didn't make it past a certain stage, because you have at the bottom left, you have an Iron Man and War Machine combiner. The Hulk bulldozer mold. If you look closely, you can see literal cracks in the surface detailing, pretty much indicating that this was meant to be Thing. They did the Human Torch, like you said, in the Fantastic Four costume colors, blue and orange. Well, blue, but with the orange flames as accent colors. And there's also a retool of Captain America as Punisher.
Yeah, that one goes pretty hard too, but I just cannot stop looking at that blue jet. It's so nice.
That is a really good jet mode, honestly.
But yeah, War Machine saw that concept art and was like, "Next time, baby," and then he was recast.
I'm honestly surprised that they didn't do. Is it Iron Patriot?
Yeah.
Yes, Iron Patriot. The Captain America colored one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So yeah, we see a bunch of the cancel figures, including the Punisher. But if you're wanting a transforming Punisher toy, don't worry, Toy Biz has you covered on that one. So, like, this is only tangentially related to the Marvel crossovers, because I think Char did bring this up in the chat, because there were 2 these were toy lines created by a company called Toy Biz. You had the Megamorphs on the left and Shapeshifters on the right, including that thing.
Yeah, the Punisher in the room is
it's
funny. It's funny. I'm sorry.
They had to know what they were doing when they made that toy.
It's kind of funny that toy has transcended the entire toy line, and no one remembers any other figure from that toy line. They were kind of unremarkable from what I've seen. It was basically just like Marvel characters that turned into unconvincing weapons and various objects.
Very strange.
That like maybe I should have included more on another slide, but I actually have a few of these.
Will you review them?
Sorry, what?
Will you review them?
When I get the chance. One that I have is Hawkeye, who is based off the character's design in the Avengers cartoon, I think it is. And he basically transforms into this weird ass mecha hawk. It's a big surprise. Ant-Man, no guesses what he turns into. Captain America turns into an eagle that looks like it needs to be put out of its misery. What else? Hulk basically does a handstand to become a dinosaur creature. This is just off the top of my head, by the way. The Punisher, like you said, Char, turns into a mess of limbs disguised, intended to be a weapon. And as we can see here, he doesn't need to transform to display his weapon.
Loud and proud.
But on the Megamorphs, honestly, some of the Megamorph toys look pretty cool. You can tell that they're not as experienced at the transforming robot game as Hasbro was at that point. The Spider-Man, which turns into a spider, is I would argue a more clever way of doing a spider mode than the Beast Wars spider bots. But then again, he only has 6 limbs. Oh no, wait, no, he does because his legs split. No, he does have the full 8 limbs. I'll eat my hat there.
Yeah, it's just a bad angle.
Yeah. And I know there was the one of the ones that actually interests me is they also did a Hulk figure, and that Hulk figure turned into a tank. Or it's less of a tank and more of a thing on treads with a multitude of guns. But it's just they weren't bad. They were certainly interesting. But very, very, very janky. Very janky. They didn't really have the whole using mass cleverly way clever. They didn't have the whole using mass cleverly thing down yet, like the Takara designers had at that point.
Yes.
Also, this toy line actually did villains, like Dr. Octopus.
Yeah, that's pretty noteworthy.
Yeah.
You think Hasbro would have done villains, considering how popular some of them are? Like, wasn't the whole fiction based around Doctor Doom doing something? Why didn't they make one of him?
Yeah, wasn't it that Doctor Doom had made like transforming robots to begin with?
I don't fucking care. Just give me Robot Doom.
True. Doctor Doom would probably be uniquely fit to make a transforming character of, considering he has the metal mask.
At any rate, I honestly don't know what's on the next slide.
It's if you want to move on to next slide, because it isn't much. Because Takara did something you could call a crossovers line. It was basically the short-lived Disney label series. Only 3 molds were made. Hello, Rusty. Mickey Mouse into an Optimus Prime style truck, Donald Duck into a penny racer Volkswagen a la Bumblebee, and Buzz Lightyear into presumably a spaceship.
Yes, that is absolutely a spaceship.
Although, like, only 3 molds were made, but there were multiple recolors of each. Like, you also had Mickey Mouse in his own color scheme. A bunch of them were done in monochrome. And I think Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse had Halloween themed decos as well.
Yeah, they did. I remember seeing those on TF Wiki.
I mean, I guess they're cute for what they are. I don't have experience with any of these, and I haven't even seen them at TF Nation.
No, I don't have any experience with these, though I do have experience. I do remember as a kid handling a Buzz Lightyear transforming toy that wasn't the Takara one, but it was a transforming Buzz Lightyear toy, because they did those as well before the Takara collaboration.
I just genuinely don't have a lot to say about these.
Well, if you guys have nothing to say, I guess we can move on to something you might have a bit more knowledge on.
Yes.
The Transformers collaborative line itself, blending various properties with Transformers, including Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, Top Gun, X-Men, Jurassic Park, J Balvin, Universal Monsters, G.I. Joe, Tonka, Street Fighter II, Volvo Trucks, Stranger Things, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes, I have a couple of these. I have Back to the Future's Gigawatt, and I have the first Jurassic Park set. I don't have the second one. It's on my wish list. I just haven't ever gotten around to it.
I have Gigawatt. I've under-nerd about getting Ectotron a bunch of times, but he always just seems so overpriced for what he is. Which is effectively a retool of a Combiner Wars leader or Combiner Wars Voyager for the price of a modern day leader.
Yeah. I once found Maverick, the Top Gun crossover, for pretty cheap, but I didn't go for it.
Yeah, honestly, Maverick is cool in that he has a really nice F14 mode. I'm sorry, has a very clean F14 mode, but something about that robot mode, man. They didn't cook there. I don't know what happened with that. I guess it has it has Cyberchat vibes, I suppose. But every time I see it, it's like 40 quid, so a bit much.
Yes. But out of all these, I have to say that Ectotron is the coolest one. It's just a simple repaint of Siege Sideswipe. Sorry, not repaint, retool of the Siege Sideswipe mold. But it's the DeLorean. It's a very iconic vehicle. It can do the flying thing. It has all the pertinent accessories, and it's just nice. I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It has Optimus Prime's gun for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for a design that was never made with the intention of being a DeLorean, it has a very clean DeLorean mode.
Yeah. I know all of us have spoken about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one. That one's pretty cool. I really like the interplay of the accessories. The only other set that I have is the Jurassic Park set of JP93 and Tyrannocon Rex, and they're pretty nice. Tyrannocon's just a simple repaint of Kingdom Megatron with a new head, and JP93 is, I think, the first ever licensed Ford Transformer, which is really something to think about. Let's see. I am completely on my own on stage right now. Fuck. Let's see. There's Ultimate Expanse. He's just a very, very extensive retool of Studio Series Jetfire. I hear he's been shelf warming quite a bit. God, what's his name? Code Red. He's shelf warming too. He's a sort of I heard he's a retool of Siege Ironhide, but at the same time, I'm not sure I see it. I think he just borrows little bits and pieces of it. There's Draculus from Titans Return Mindwipe, and he looks really cool, but I'm just not fussed about Universal Monsters. And oh boy, more and more G.I. Joe stuff. I really don't like these G.I. Joe Transformers. They just don't look good. They have all of the same problems as they have many of the same problems as the Star Wars figures, where it's just like they force the classic alternate mode to look like the character that it's supposed to be. Oh, thank God, everyone's back. I have been talking out of my ass for the past 2 minutes.
Okay, where were we?
I was talking about how much I hate the G.I. Joe crossover figures as a concept, but I was going to talk about the Street Fighter figures as those actually predate Collaborative. They were released back in, well, around Titans Return, so like 2017-18-ish.
Yeah.
And they were only like retroactively re-released under the Collaborative line.
Yeah,
recently.
that's what I was going to bring up, and that's why I say that there is a possibility that this Star Wars listing could very well be one of the two molds that Takara produced.
Yeah, that would. I'm sorry, I'm running off 5 hours of sleep. Yeah, that would be.
But you said you weren't tired. Also, I think
that was
I know
also
what
an hour ago when I said that.
I think I know what you were guessing at with the G.I. Joe stuff, and I gotta agree. I'm really not a fan of the way that the G.I. Joe crossover toys have been implemented.
Yeah.
The fact that they are, you know, the fact that they are like G.I. Joe toys, like they're made to work with the G.I. Joe figures, is one thing. Human Alliance has been done before. Human Alliance has been done successfully before. The problem is, on top of that, they're trying to work them into the classic G1 designs, when really what they should be doing is making these designs from the ground up as G.I. Joe Transformers.
Yeah, and even if these are supposed to be the classic characters, at least color them like the vehicles they turn into. Like, especially Megatron here and Bumblebee here. As far as I'm aware, the vehicle that Soundwave turns into is actually blue and red, so I'll give him that. That's probably why he looks by and large the best one out of all of them. But fucking look at Bumblebee. They just shoehorn in all of that yellow when he should just be green. Just be green.
Yeah,
be
then
green, Bumblebee.
Make it an homage to World War II Bumblebee.
Yeah, because that's sold super well.
I mean, Don Figueroa did a bunch of G.I. Joe Transformers crossovers that were explicitly World War II Transformers. I think that's what those designs were for, the G.I. Joe crossover.
Is that right?
Yeah. Which he has been redoing lately. Which I'm a big fan of.
Yes. Can we just talk about Tonkanator for a second?
Oh, you mean Devastator reissue?
Yes, I saw him in the store. What the fuck were they getting at charging $100 for him?
He's $100?
Something like, yeah. And the last time they reissued Devastator, he was $80. What are they getting at?
What were they thinking?
What were they thinking?
What were they? I genuinely don't know, because you can't even make the argument that Tonka is taking their cut, because Hasbro owns Tonka.
Yeah.
Like it's one of Hasbro's brands.
It's like upcharging. Oh, they got to pay for the GI Joe license. It's a Hasbro brand.
You don't understand, Kit. They have to pay the GI Joe department.
Oh,
They have to pay the GI Joe department royalties every time the Transformers team makes a GI Joe Transformer.
You know, we probably should. Speaking of Transformers that turn into Hot Wheels, that Bloodstreak said in the chat, we probably should have added the very recently revealed Hot Wheels Optimus Prime.
Oh my god!
For $80 fucking dollars.
The $80 Yes, the $80 Spy Changer.
Yeah. Oh, but you have to attach the fists just like the original. Yeah, that makes it all worth it. Oh, it's all die-cast, just like every other fucking Hot Wheels that you buy for $2 at freaking Tuesday morning.
Honestly, for 40, I would have been able to justify it because okay, it's a limited thing. It's made 100% of die-cast. You know, that's a novelty.
It's got special paint.
Yeah, it's got like the classic candy coating like they did on the original Hot Wheels cars.
Yeah.
You know, that's okay, fair enough. 80 though. 80. Yeah. Fucking hell.
I tweeted this out a few days ago, but Hasbro and Mattel working together to make the poorest selling collaborative of all time is such a TF2 lore thing to happen.
Yep. Yeah. Oh god. Redmond and Blutarch put aside their differences and work together, and it fails horribly.
Runestone, what do you think about 1/64th scale Optimus Prime?
Don't care.
They're also making non-transforming 1/64th scale Optimus and Bumblebee, and those will be sold for regular price for their respective price points.
I mean, the thing is, G1 toys reimagined in Hot Wheels scale, what made 100% of diecast, is such a cool idea to me. I would love that.
Yeah.
I would love that if it was a reasonable price. If I could get like the whole 84, all of the like 84 or 85 Carbots in like 1/64 scale in diecast, you kidding me? That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But $80 a pop, no sir, no.
Beyond the pale.
Kit, as the Hot Wheels expert, is there any set in Hot Wheels that particularly stands out?
Could you be more specific?
Okay, well, what I'm getting at is if there's like a set of vehicles in Hot Wheels that was particularly popular, I was wondering whether they could perhaps recolor the Stunticons like basically with the Constructicons they made them Tonka trucks. With the Stunticons they could redecker them into I guess Hot Wheels style cars or something.
It maybe. Oh, actually, let's put a pin in that. And ask me again when we go over my second crossover idea, okay? Because I actually do have an idea, but it will take a lot more time to explain, and I'd rather just do all of that in one go than twice, you know.
All I can say is for these crossover figures, I don't have a single one of these.
Not at all. None of them. None of them?
No. That's not to say that I won't get any, but like these have just been off my radar, honestly.
Damn.
If I were to pick up any, maybe Tonkinata if I can find him reasonably priced.
Yeah, good luck with that.
What else? I mean, one of the Jurassic Park sets might be cool. Again, at a reasonable price.
I still need to get one of them. One of my buddies, I think Tulala, described Dilophoncon as like a lost Beast Wars Neo toy, and that really makes me want to want to check it out. Like that's
Yeah,
how he
I li-
describes the engineering of that one.
Yeah, I'd like to see that toy be redone as an original Predacon character for like I don't know, some expansion of the Beast Wars storyline or something.
You could just headcanon the one that they put out as a Predacon, or
Yeah.
Destron as they were.
I will say though, that figure has a remarkably similar structure to Iguanus, particularly the tail gun.
Is that right?
Yeah.
The Jeep former in that set though, honestly, it looks real. It looks gnarly. It does not look good.
Oh, I thought you were using gnarly in like a positive sense.
No, I mean gnarly as in it's gnarled, as in what happened to that. Like I get that it's based on that one character from the movies who was like the guy who hacked the park.
Yeah, that's him.
But did they have to make it fat? Did they
Yes.
have to make? Did they have to make the decision to make a Transformers toy that is intentionally uncool?
Yes.
Because like a Jeep former is a cool idea, and they already did one. You know, it just. I'm not going insane here. It seems like such a weird decision to make a Transformers character based on a character who was a fat nerd in the film.
I think the jokes are writing themselves as we speak.
What is it meant to be, a mirror to the fan base?
Yes. Yes, you see the big jiggly belly is essential to the toy. It just is. It just is. Shut up. Anywho, that covers our survey of past crossovers, past and present. Now let's get into the real reason we were so excited for this. Let's say go. This will be our segment where we cover our ideal crossover ideas that are somewhat plausible, that you could see happening just based on what other toy companies are doing and what's currently popular in the zeitgeist or whatever.
And also properties that Hasbro has explicit access to as well.
Well, not necessarily, but stuff that isn't out of the question.
Yeah.
I'm a bit nervous to go first, but let's just cut to the chase. Mine is Formula One. Transformers has a long history of turning robots into open-wheeled single-seater race cars of both European and American make. And I think that with Formula One being as big and booming of a business as it is nowadays, it's more popular than it's ever been. I think Hasbro would be wise to make something of a collaborative figure with one of the teams, because I mean Lego's doing it. I have the 2023 McLaren Lego set. I still haven't opened it, but they currently have two different sets, a system set and a Technic set of the 2023 Mercedes, and I have two copies of the 2021 Mercedes that they put out. So Lego's been doing a lot of collaboration with F1 recently. So I think Hasbro would probably get a piece of that pie. And just thinking about, like, they probably do a Mirage. So I picked 3 cars that I think would be most likely picks for Mirage, and I picked them all from this year, but they could be from last year if they were to do it. There's the current championship leader, the Red Bull RB20, driven by Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez pictured here. Really, all of them are just because they're blue in some form. There's the Williams FW46, driven by Alexander Albon and Logan Sargent, the most blue of all of them. And the Alpine A524, driven by Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon. And I picked this one out in particular because the original Ultimate mode for Mirage was a Ligier, which was the French team at the time, and nowadays the French team is Alpine. So I figured it would be a sort of nice parallel to Mirage's alternate mode history, so to speak. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, okay. One hurdle I see to this is remember during Dark of the Moon when they did the NASCAR Transformers?
Yes.
Yeah, and you remember one of the big issues that they had with those NASCAR Transformers, specifically Leadfoot, was a problem where the target branding was a big part of his character design.
Yes.
Which meant that the figure of him that had the Target logo on his belly had to be a Target exclusive. Do you think that for instance, the branding on on these cars would be a hurdle to making them? For instance, Red Bull. I know Red Bull
the biggest. I would imagine Red Bull being somewhat of a hurdle. I'm not sure if it's illegal to market that on a children's toy, but then again, I did buy a couple die casts of Red Bull F1 cars in the toy aisle, so it's probably fine. Red Bull technically are sponsored by Walmart, but their logo is very small on the car, so it'd be very easy to just get rid of it. And Williams and Alpine are not currently sponsored by any big box store, so it wouldn't be a problem there.
I assume your ideal scenario for this would if they treated this like the Seeker mold and just made every color scheme.
Yeah, yeah, kind of. It'd be a little frustrating to those people who are really into the technical side of it, because every car would be the same, and in F1 every car is very much not the same, even though they might look it from a layman's perspective.
I can't really tell the difference.
There are very, very subtle differences between them that matter a lot in the sport, but in terms of a toy, it probably won't matter much at all. But yeah, I would love to see all 10 teams represented in a mold like this. I'd be perfectly happy to save the uber technical representations to the diecast makers. I just want a full grid of transforming robots. These aren't the only cars I've considered, because I've also considered some classic cars that they might make, such as the 1988 championship winning car, the McLaren MP44. Of course, as you can see, there's a very big problem in terms of turning that into a toy. So they'd have to go a similar route to how they did for Exhaust. There's the 1992 Williams FW14, specifically the 14B being the most famous version of that car, but the regular 14 is the one that's pictured. That one, they just have to scrape off the camel logos. The Lotus 78, that one has been referenced recently in the Generation 2 Shadow Strip figure. Because G2 Dragstrip isn't black and gold, he's black and blue. But they made the Legacy figure black and gold as a reference to the Lotus 78. That one also had a tobacco livery, but as you can see on this one, they just replaced it with Classic Team Lotus to get around that. And then, of course, there's the Ligier JS11, which Mirage was originally based on, and really did the bare minimum to get around the tobacco sponsorship. They changed one letter in the name. It's so freaking funny. It probably helps that the brand just simply isn't available in the United States, so maybe it's a little easier to get around like that. But yeah, the Ligier JS11 isn't actually a very prolific car. As I've pointed out, it's only a 5-time Grand Prix winner, which is significant, but it was nowhere. It wasn't a championship contender, but it really is just famous for being Mirage. Going back to Dragstrip, there is one last car that I think they'll consider, And that is, of course, the Tyrrell P34, which is the car that Dragstrip was based on. It only ever won one race, but it's famous for being the first six-wheeled Formula One car. There have been more, but not very many. It had its own problems with the design, but it's such an iconic car, even outside Transformer circles, that X-Transbots actually repainted their drag strip into a real-life accurate livery with just slightly changed sponsor logos. But yeah, I think any of these cars would make for a pretty good Transformer. Any questions from the class or my fellow faculty? I don't like dead air.
I'm sorry. I'm a bit out of my element. I mean, I would be interested in more realistic decos, based on historical vehicles. Hell, I even have a idea for a toy line where the whole idea is making Transformers of historical vehicles.
Yes.
So this is something I would be an advocate of. From a personal perspective, I like the Lotus. I think that looks the nicest with the black with the gold pinstriping.
Yes, it is by far probably the most iconic F1 car ever. Well, I mean, it is debatable. Any of these three are probably the most iconic, as well as, the Red Bull, because it fucking wins every fucking week. But I'm still salty about this morning. Fucking Lando Norris was 0.0725 seconds. No, 0.725 seconds away from victory today. Fucking Max fucking Verstappen still took the win.
Who's that driver that everyone hates?
You'll have to be more specific, my friend.
Oh, Mohawked guy did a video about him.
Lance Stroll?
Lance Stroll, that's it. Would you be mad if they made Lance Stroll's car?
No, because it's also Fernando Alonso's car, and he's my favorite.
Okay then. Man, that's got to be a conundrum.
Yeah, it's really hard to root for that team. But
I'm sorry for you, Kit.
But yeah, I actually know the funny story about why this car had 6 wheels, and it's because they wanted to fit the front wheels entirely behind the front wing. And they did that by making the wheels smaller, but they realized that there was just too little front grip, so they added a second pair of wheels. And there was nothing in the regulations saying that they had to have only 4 wheels, so they were just like, okay, we'll make a 6-wheeled car to see how that works. As you can see, it won a race.
Were the 6 wheels a particular hindrance? Is there any real reason why they don't do it these days?
Well, for starters, it was banned in the 80s. They mandated 4 wheels, a maximum and a minimum of 4 wheels. And it was also just sort of a hassle in the pit stops because you're changing 2 extra tires. So, it was just kind of inefficient.
Oh well. I mean, to me, the Tyrrell P34 is in my opinion, one of the most unique F1 cars, just because it's so unique.
Yeah. There was
one of the most
Williams.
Iconic. I'm sorry.
There was a Williams where it had just 1 front wheel and 2 rear wheels, like pairs.
So it was a 3-wheeler?
No. It was a 6-wheeler, but like 2 in the front, 4 in the back. But that one was less successful, I think.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'm looking online. I see a very, very old one that had like 6 wheels with the 2 in the back.
Yeah. Runestone, do you have anything to say before we move on to yours?
This is a bit out of my element, really. the most I can say is that once upon a time I had a scale electric set with a couple of either Indy cars or Formula One cars or whatever, and probably be cool to see transforming versions of those.
Yeah. So moving on to
I think I posted a link to the set I had once upon a time.
yes, and I identified it. It was I want to say 1991, Alain Prost versus Ayrton Senna. Yes, it was the year where Senna was still at McLaren and Prost was at Williams. It was Prost's last championship year. I don't remember what that was. 1991, 1992, something like that.
Yeah, I've been trying to look it up while you've been talking about your crossover because I think it'd be cool.
Yeah. So, are you ready to go over yours?
Yes, I'm ready. If everyone else is,
Go ahead.
okay. So, picking up where I left off earlier, there were 4 molds produced for the Animorphs Transformers toy line that turned from beast to beast. However, when said line crashed and burned, they were reworked into the Beast Wars line as the Mutants. To get around the fact that they had no robot modes, the bio depicts the Mutants as former Fusors who lost their robot modes to Megatron's anti-transformation virus from Beast Machines. If we want to quickly go to the next slide. Right, you had Icebird, Poison Bite, Razor Claw, and Soundwave. I've done reviews on all but Soundwave. My Razor Claw video only just dropped yesterday. You should check it out. But I have quite the soft spot for these guys, and if there's one thing that I've been begging for that is never going to happen, it's toys of these 4 in their pre-mutant or Fusor forms. Yeah, so if you want to go back to the other one, okay. So just to preface, I'm not particularly into Dungeons and Dragons. Nothing against the franchise, I'm just not that interested. However, when I was working on my Icebird review, out of sheer curiosity, I looked up owl and bear hybrids, since Icebird converts from a polar bear into an Arctic owl. Lo and behold, I happen across the owl bear from D&D. I showcased it in my video, and I got into a conversation with a couple people in the comments section. One called DM Prime, who I think is actually in your Discord server, Kit.
Is he? Yes.
Yeah, Dan, yeah.
Yeah. And another guy called Rob Rice, and they brought to my attention, between them, they brought to my attention that Hasbro actually owns D&D. Hence why I put this idea in the Let's Say Go category. And thus, they could make an Icebird that turns into an owlbear. And I responded that if we're talking like in a Transformers main line, I'd rather have Icebird be an Ursagriff like Prime Grimwing. But if we're talking a collaborative figure, then the owlbear is perfect for Icebird. As for the actual transformation and robot mode design, all I can say is, had Kingdom Polar Claw actually been a thing, I'd imagine they probably retool him from that. And as for the other 3 mutants, well, you're on your own there.
So, Rune, I am to understand this is just an elaborate scheme to get the pre-detransformation virus mutants.
Damn, how'd you figure my plan?
Also, I just figured out the pun for Soundwave's name.
Why? Because he's a bat?
Because he's a bat. No. He's a bat and a crocodile. So the crocodile goes in the water. Water has waves.
Oh, yeah.
TJ Omega has brought up that one.
Yeah, I can't play the clip from here, unfortunately.
Well, you know what? Because I mean, I thought I could work in a video clip because I actually posted like that sort of concept in his Q&A session, and you can't play the clip, but you might be able to hear the audio for it that I'm about to play right now, because I put this in his Q&A, like I said, and the response I got just made my day. So hopefully you should be able to hear this.
Iteration Dash Rendar.
It's coming
There's
up.
a poll for me. Shadows of the Empire. I thought it was really cool back in the day that when there were no Star Wars movies, they did this whole media.
I tried to get the
push
correct
with their
time
own
span, and
stuff.
it's coming up.
Here's a book. Here's a toy line. Here's a video game. It's a very fun video game as well, by the way. So yeah, I really liked Dash.
Here it comes.
Do you think Beast Wars Icebird as an owlbear for a D&D/TF collaborative would work? Possibly, yeah. I mean, that'd be super clever. That would be super clever, actually. Okay, RuneScape hit something. RuneScape cooked something. Oof. So yeah, that would make perfect sense to do a new version of Icebird. You'd still have to come up with a new robot mode, because ultimately it would still have to turn into a robot. So it'd be the first time Icebird got a robot mode. So that'd be kind of cool.
You hear that, Hasbro? Make this now.
Runestone is now the Dean of Culinary Arts.
Oh, that, like I said, like just hearing him say that just made my day. That did. I mean, technically, we'll say DM Prime, Rob Rice, and myself cook something. So, you know, consider it a trial.
I guess you could say it was collaborative.
Ugh.
Oh, you.
All right, that leaves Char's crossover.
Yes.
Well, don't you two have anything else to say about the Owlbear thing?
Other than that, it's really fucking clever and like a match made in heaven.
It is a clever idea. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be against it. It sounds like it would be. It would be the only way. It probably would be the only way that we're getting a new Icebird.
Because are you like either of you into Dungeons and Dragons?
I tried playing a couple times. I only enjoyed it once.
I'm more
really.
of a Warhammer 40k guy.
Yeah, because I was wondering if perhaps there were any more hybrid creatures that could fit the other mutants, but well, I couldn't find any.
Yeah.
Yeah, to my knowledge, the owlbear is like the main hybrid creature from D&D lore.
I also do want to bring up the fact that there is a transforming owlbear toy. I think it's a diceling.
Yes, yeah.
I really don't understand the point of those.
What? I was going to say they're like mimics, but then I realized, wait, mimics look like mimics. They don't look like other D&D monsters. I don't know. It's just, I guess it's just like, it's like those cube toys. You know, that one company that does like the transforming cube box?
Yeah, Beast Box.
Yeah, Beast Box. It's like Beast Box, but not Beast Box.
I guess. Okay, that's fair, I guess. I have a Beast Box toy. It's the 4 little penguins that turn into a cube by cuddling together.
Oh, it's cute.
Yeah. I had to buy them. But yeah, fuck. As far as crossover, hybrid animals go, I don't know, probably something in Avatar might have.
Yeah, I was
something
actually
that combines
thinking
these.
Avatar.
They're like the kings of hybrid creatures.
Yeah.
Which Avatar?
The Last Airbender.
Okay.
Yeah, all of the animals in the Avatar universe are hybrid animals, I think.
Except for the Earth King's bear. That's just a regular bear.
Yeah.
There was a whole joke about that in the show. Yeah, it'd be really difficult to make a hybrid out of. Well, I mean, maybe the gator bat might be worthwhile. Just add wings to it.
Or just a bat with a gator face.
Ooh, giant snout.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a fruit bat.
Yeah.
A carnivorous
No, fruit bat is
bat.
just a fruit bat's just like a flying dog.
They are. They're
Flying
very
puppy.
cute.
I love bats.
I do as well.
My house was my condo was slightly infested with bats last year, but we got someone out to drive them out.
You should have just let them stay. You should just let them
Yeah,
die.
but it made everything smell like pee.
Oh,
Yeah, that's why they had to go.
very sad. Very sad.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh.
all right. So I thought I would start with my crossover, Zoidor. I will start with explain why it's genuinely surprising that this crossover hasn't happened yet. Because, as you probably know, Takara Tomy is the company that was formed from the merger between the Takara company and the Tomy company. Both of these were Japanese toy companies who created the created the Diaclone / Microman brand Takara in Japan, which was then localized to America as the Transformers. And Tomy also made Zoids in Japan, which was then localized into America, also by Hasbro as Zoids. So both of these IPs have long-standing history with both the American and Japanese sides of the Takara Tomy brand. So both of them have had long-standing access to this IP. Add on to that the fact that the concepts for these toy lines are somewhat similar. With the robot animals, robotic animals coming from a planet of robotic animals, Planet Z, and then you have robotic life forms from the planet Cybertron. It's surprising these concepts have not been merged before, as well as the fact that of course animal Transformers have been a part of the Transformers brand basically from its inception. And oh boy, I feel like Kit right now.
I'm still here. I'm just waiting on direction.
Okay. All right. So here I've sort of laid out some potential ideas for bases for designs that could be adapted into Zoid's characters or Zoid's crossover figures. We'll start with Leo Convoy. Leo Convoy becoming one of the many Ligers. I've used the Shield Liger here because the Shield Liger is my favorite of all the Ligers from Zoids as the example. And obviously, Optimus, the Leo Convoy transforms into a lion. The Liger is a lion. So you could make that engineering work. We have Rhinox transforming into, or a design based on Rhinox, transforming into the Red Horn. Red Horn is a rhinoceros, not a rhinoceros, I'm sorry, a Triceratops, or some sort of, I forget the species.
A Styracosaurus.
Sorry, Styracosaurus. I'm probably going to get beat up by dinosaur nerds now. But the Rhinox design, I think, would translate nicely into Red Horn from Zoids. And then we have Dinobot, who obviously is a raptor, and we have Genosaura, that I think it would translate well into.
I will say that that toy looks remarkably similar to Snapdragon.
Yeah, it does.
Snapdragon?
Yeah, like from.
Oh,
seen-
yeah. You mean the headmaster the headmaster triple changer?
Yeah, you could easily turn him into Snapdragon.
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, because who thinks of Snapdragon?
I like Snapdragon.
He's cool.
But yeah, I suppose you could use Snapdragon as a basis instead. And I don't know, this feels like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, after you broke down the whole how it's owned by the same companies that own Transformers, it makes a lot of sense. I honestly didn't know what Zoids was, but I mean, I still don't know what it is, but now that you've explained the whole background behind it, yeah, it seems really obvious. I wonder why
Well,
they haven't done it.
Well, I mean, when you really think about it, a Zoid's transformer actually exists. His name's
Yes.
Thundertron.
Yes, I was going to bring up Thundertron. Thundertron is the one example of a potential Zoids crossover, though only in passing. Considering it's like the lion mode that Thundertron has doesn't resemble any actual design from the Zoids toy line. Kit, are you really not familiar with Zoids at all?
Not at all.
Do you want a quick rundown?
Sure.
So the Zoids toy line is primarily based on the gimmick of automatic walking. So all of the toys have motorized functions, and they walk along like a Mega Supreme or Tripticon does, basically.
Gotcha.
And also they come as model kits, so you assemble them yourselves, which is something I like because I'm a model kit nerd.
I mean, look at your name.
Yeah. But yeah, both of these toys, and also the original comic book, the Western comic book for the Zoids, that was a UK exclusive, was also done by Marvel. So there's another connection they have. And it just and they also had a crossover with Spider-Man, just like the Transformers had a crossover with Spider-Man. They have a very intertwined history, and yet there's never been a proper crossover.
Maybe they just think they've already done one.
What you think someone at Hasbro's just looking at all their licenses and be like, wait, shit, we haven't done this? What? We could print money. And they really could, because I think the Zoid's aesthetic lends itself very well to a transforming robot.
Yeah, I agree. They look a little. I'm assuming these are Takara figures that you've posted.
These are actually Kotobayaka model kits.
Oh, I see.
I didn't post pictures of the original model kits because I'll be honest, the Kotobayaka model kits just look better, and I thought they would work better as visual aids.
They look a bit 3P, you know, like if a transformer turned into something like in 3P, that's what they'd look like.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Kotobayaka does make they do add a lot of complexity to the designs. In fact, I'll just show you an original Zoids model kit in the chat real quick.
All right.
So this is what the original Red Horn looked like. I suppose you'd call this G1 Red Horn.
Oh yeah, that's a lot rounder and subdued.
Yeah.
I see. Thank you for illuminating me.
No problem. But yeah, like I said, it just I feel like I'm just repeating myself at this point, but it feels like it's just something that you could be done very easily, or not easily, but could be done with the minimal amount of effort that would be required for something like this, and is something that is very much within Hasbro and Takara's reach.
Yeah, it seems plausible. But we aren't all here for plausibility, now are we? Let's say no. Let's say, you know, we're in charge of Hasbro and we have absolutely no limitations.
Yes, there's been a recent decision at Congress, and now copyright law is thrown out of the window.
Yes. Uh, so this segment is our implausible, you know, wish list ideas. I guess we're going in the same order. Mine, well, Hasbro and Mattel are working quite closely on a collaborative right now, but it isn't what I would have in mind. My idea is something that I think would be quite popular among the Zoomer crowd, and that would be a crossover with Highway 35 and Acceleracers. So Highway 35 was a sort of TV movie event in celebration of Hot Wheels' 35th anniversary in 2003. And the idea is that there's this crazy billionaire named, what's his name? Peter Tesla, Dr. Peter Tesla. And he's funding this thing called the World Race, where he gets 35 of the greatest drivers in the world to race 35 of the most fucking tricked out cars in the world. And most of them are just Hot Wheels models. And he's sending them through this multi-legged race. And at the end of the journey is what Tesla's really after, which is the Wheel of Power, which is the MacGuffin that you see in the middle of your screen right there. Basically, his idea is that he can harness the wheel to create free energy because it was made by these advanced aliens called the Accelerons, and the Accelerons created Highway 35 because they love racing. And you know, the main character, Vert Wheeler, he wins the world race, and he learns wisdom and truth from the Wheel of Power, and they have to end up giving it back to the other dimension. I am doing a very bad job explaining all of this. It sounds like the most schizoid shit possible.
I just find the idea of this hyper advanced alien race that just fucking loves race cars. I find that really funny.
Yeah. There's also a villain named Galorum who is after the Wheel of Power, and she recruits one of the drivers to be her spy, and there's a whole plot arc about the spy like getting on the good side again. It's a very, very basic movie, but it's one I've seen like at least over 150 times. It was animated by Mainframe, and it has a lot of voice acting names that both of you would recognize. Some of whom y'all have actually met. There's Vert Wheeler is voiced by the guy who played Jala in the first Bionicle movie.
Oh wow!
And then Scott McNeil plays a minor character. The girl standing right behind Vert in that picture at the bottom is played by Venus Terzo. Blue Man Kuma makes a cameo appearance, and his son is one of the main characters. God, who else? Who else is there? Anyway, David Kay is in the sequel, Acceleracers. That came out 2 years later. It's a 4-part TV movie series, and it's a lot darker. It's like Highway 35 is like made for literal babies, but Acceleracers has like elements of body horror and characters straight up dying, and but it's still like with all these fantastical alien elements. Like you see the picture at the bottom, that's Vert Wheeler confronting Galorum's true form at the end of the ultimate race. They make it to the Acceleron's homeworld, and Galorum tries to stop Vert so that she can be like the true successor to the the Accelerons. Speaking of which, Galorum's a racing drone, and the racing drones were made by the Accelerons, but they turned evil and want to destroy the Accelerons for reasons. Anyway,
so you're telling me this black hulking creature is a girl?
Yes.
Jackpot.
Anyway, a lot of the main characters from World Race show up in Acceleracers. Obviously, Vert Wheeler's still the main character, but they get recruited by after the events of World Race. Vert Wheeler and his friends, I guess, sort of just kind of do their own thing. They join like these underground racing scenes. Kurt Wilde, who is literally me, he's the one who drives that purple car in front. He's the spy. He's the spy who goes turncoat. He ends up basically selling out his brother, who goes to prison for 2 years. It's implied it's a drug deal gone wrong, and there's a whole arc about that. But yeah, there's these underground racing scenes, and they're split up into two factions, the Teku and the Metal Maniacs, and both of them get recruited by Tesla again to go into what's called the Racing Realms, which is apparently the successor to Highway 35. It's like the next test of the Accelerons, and each realm is a test of a particular I guess driving technique. Like, for instance, the Swamp Realm is all about using an ideal racing line, which also the Junk Realm also is about testing your racing line. The Neon Pipeline Realm is about drafting to take advantage of the slipstream. The Water Realm is about learning not to hydroplane, shit like that. And at the end of each realm, there's a MacGuffin that you get called an Accelecharger, which can like give your car a superpower that basically negates the point of the realm. Like the Water Realm Accelecharger gives you the power to drive on top of water with perfect grip. Stuff like that. Anyway, that's the lore. There's also a fourth faction that is implied to be like a secret government operation called the Silencers, but
You mean Hot Wheels SCP?
yes. And there's a whole big plot twist about that that I won't go into. But let's get into what I think the toys would be made for. Of course, I think the most iconic vehicle out of the entire series is the Diora 2. It was car number 1 out of 35. It's the main character's car throughout the first film. And well, he ends up replacing it because it gets cut in half in the second film, but that's neither here nor there. But it's always been one of my favorite designs, and I created this little robot named Wave Ripper, who turns into the Diora 2. The reason why you can't see the whole thing is because I couldn't figure out how to draw the legs, so I just didn't. And I also thought it would be kind of funny to make to retool Titans Return Rewind into an Accelecharger. This one in particular is the Swamp Realm Accelecharger. But some other cars that could be made are Slingshot, which is my favorite. Reverb 2. Yeah, these are Transformers names. I know that. I recognize that. Riveted, RD02, Baseline Nitrium, and of course the giant Sweeper, which is like the big super weapon of the racing drones, where like if a car gets sucked into it, it just gets pulled apart, and the driver gets put into like a little prison. They actually capture 2 of the drivers and sort of dronify them. One of them gets like completely turned into a drone, like from the waist down. He's like, he has drone legs and he has like lights all over him, and he's like malfunctioning and shit. Like there's sparks coming out of him every so often, and like instead of guts he has wires. It's like Like, you never expect Hot Wheels, of all things, to go into body horror, but they really lean into it for that occasion. And they capture another character, but they don't do it. They don't get him all the way. So he just has a robot arm at the end of it. But yeah, going back to that question you posed, Runestone, earlier about the Stunticons, I really think that they could do a racing drones set of the Stunticons. I think that would work super well. I wanted to include a clip from the first Acceleracers film where the racing drones actually sort of semi-transform out of their cars. Specifically, what's his name? RDL1 sort of like turns into the upper half of his car, RD08. But you don't really see any of the other drones do that. It's just him.
I mean, what's kind of interesting is Mattel sort of did a Transformers Hot Wheels thing.
Yeah, they did. They did it twice actually, but neither of them turned out very good.
Yeah, one of them was like Hot Wheel, like they were skateboards where
Yes.
like the bottom of the car turned into a skateboard, and the other one was where it was like crash converters, where if they crashed into each other, they would transform, right?
Yeah,
I've heard of something
Yeah.
called Autotech.
something like that. I really don't remember. It looked like crap when I was little, and it looks like crap now. But yeah, I would love any of these designs to be turned into cars. Any of them, just any and all of them.
Would you want them to be like Spy Changer scale or Chugcratic?
No, I would want big ones. I want big ones, deluxe
Okay.
size, please.
But would you have them have spy changer transformations?
No, I want each of them to have a unique transformation. You can't see it on baseline, but the entire rear of the car is just speakers. That's its whole appeal. It's a big sound machine.
Looking at baseline, he actually reminds me a lot of Tailgate.
Yeah, I can see it a little bit. It's supposed to be like a truck, though.
Is it just me?
Go
So
ahead.
go on.
No, I was just going, oh.
Yeah, is it just me, or does Riveted look a bit like Prime Knockout?
Yeah, I could see it a little bit.
Yeah. Though it looks to be a Mustang. Is there a Transformer Mustang? I feel like there's a Transformer Mustang.
There's
You like a
Mustang
Ford
lights.
Mustang?
Yeah.
Alternator's Grimlock.
True, but I mean like a Transformers character that's known for being a Mustang.
I don't think so.
That's weird. You think that would be?
Yeah. But also, yeah, with the sweeper, you can see both Riveted and Baseline in the photo, just show how big it is. They made a little play set of it. I still have it at my parents' house.
I mean,
There's also these things in Acceleracers called hyperpods, which are these like larger vehicles that the smaller cars can go inside of, and it's like one of them is like a dragster, so it gives them like super speed in a straight line. One of them has drills on the front, powers like that. I think those could be turned into some cool robots.
I think I had one of those as a kid. Was that were the toys like motorized?
The bigger ones were, yes. I found a picture of all of them. Let me put it in the chat.
I believe I had one that was like a centipede type thing.
Yes, I have that. I actually have all of them.
Yeah.
At my parents' house.
The orange one. I had that as a kid. I think I still have it somewhere in my Hot Wheels box.
Yeah, that's a hyperpod.
Oh.
Char, we should do an Acceleracers watch party.
Someday.
Schizoid Hot Wheels movie night.
Sure. Sure, if I can show you Metal Cardbot.
Okay.
I've never watched it either, but I feel like I want to watch it because I like the toys so much. Just to see what the hype is about.
But yeah, that's my idea. Acceleracers.
Yeah. I mean, something I like about Hot Wheels is all of the unique car designs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think the reason they probably do accelerators over Highway 35 is A, it's more popular, and B, all of the designs are original, whereas a lot of the designs in Highway 35 were real cars. Like, as you can see, four of those cars, there are five teams of 7 cars, and 4 of the team leaders are original Hot Wheels designs, and the 5th one there is a 1970 Plymouth Roadrunner. So they'd have to get extra licensing for one of those.
yeah, but like of the Hot Wheels cars, I always thought it would be cool to make Hot Wheels Transformers that turn into the original cars of Hot Wheels. I feel like that would be the
Yes.
biggest opportunity if they did a crossover.
I would buy every single one of them.
I would,
And
if they were
obviously-
reasonably priced.
And honestly, they I think if they did go that route, the Diora 2 would be on the cards, but it wouldn't be the first one they do. It'd probably be like the 3rd or 5th one, because of course they do the Bone Shaker and the Twin Mill, maybe Silhouette. But then they would have to do a Diora at some point. They would have to do a Diora.
Wouldn't they be more likely to do the original Diora?
Yeah, they would, but the Diora 2 is more well known these days because of Highway 35 and accelerators. They built a real life Diora 2 in time for the 35th anniversary, and they included the Diora 2 in both the most recent Forza Horizon game and the most recent Hot Wheels games. And they've been adding a shit ton of accelerators cars to Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 as well. Mattel know that there's an audience now for it. They're actually re-releasing the Diora 2 in accelerators colors this year, because the Diora 2 looked like this with the the Wave Rippers livery in Highway 35, but it got repainted into a Teku livery for accelerators, and that never got a toy, but they're releasing one this year. But it doesn't look nearly as good because, you know, Hot Wheels budget has gone down.
Damn. Mattel's just like Hasbro then?
Yeah. They don't even sculpt the surfboards separately anymore.
I remember a big gimmick, or I'm aware that a big gimmick of the original Diora was the surfboards were removable.
Yeah, the Diora 2, as you can see here, the surfboards are separate parts and they're removable, but on newer castings of it, they're molded in.
Very sad.
I posted a picture of the new deco in chat.
Yeah, they are sculpted in.
Massacred my boy.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Yes.
Also, I do appreciate your transformation scheme with the rear of the car becoming the chest.
I have a thing for that. I've always, like, every time I design like an original character, I make the rear of the car the chest. You just don't see it very often.
You don't, and it's a transformation scheme I really like. The only Transformer I can think of that does it is that one Minicon from Armada and Movie Sideswipe.
There's also Dark of the Moon Jolt Deluxe Class. That's the one I keep thinking of whenever I think of that transformation scheme. That's the one that comes to mind.
Also, Tobots did it.
Nice.
They did. They did one of the main 3, where he was a reverse transformer, where the back of the car becomes the chest. It was Tobot Evolution Y.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Too bad the plastic quality on early Tobots kind of sucks.
Yeah. I think I've been yapping a bit too much about Hot Wheels.
I'm probably misremembering, but I think of all figures, Power Core Combiner's Double Clutch does as well.
Yes, he does. He does. Yes, but he sucks, so we're gonna ignore him. Runestone, are you ready?
I believe so.
I wonder what Runestone's going to pick.
Yeah. What property could RuneScape 228 possibly talk about?
Okay, yes. So if my old username didn't give it away, I once upon a time played RuneScape for a few years before I started this whole YouTube thing. For the uninformed, RuneScape is a multiplayer online game with, I guess you could call, a medieval/fantasy setting. Certain parts of the game are free to play, but obviously for the full experience, you need to become a paying member. There are quests to complete, locations to explore, players to interact with, obviously, and of course, beings to fight. And with that, I introduce you to the Calphite Queen. Calphites in the game are a species of insects that, design-wise, well, they reportedly blend a scarab beetle with a cockroach. In ascending level order, you have the workers, the soldiers, the guardians, and of course, Her Majesty. The Calvite Queen actually has two forms. On the left-hand side is the land-based scarab beetle, and once you defeat that, she transforms into the wasp-like creature on the right. And simply put, I think it'd be cool if you had a 2-pack of figures of each of her stages, each with their own robot modes, called Calphatron. Inspired, I know.
Calphatrion.
Oh, that too.
Oh man,
Some-
that's going to make my character's name feel really uninspired later.
Some might say that she should be a triple changer with both her stages incorporated into a single toy along with a robot mode. But looking at the designs, that might be a bit far-reaching. As for why I picked her specifically, I mean, there's more RuneScape stuff I want to talk about in a bit, but I picked her specifically because back when I was playing the game, the Calphite Queen was the highest level monster in the whole game at level 333. It's long since been dethroned, but I still think it'd be cool to have transforming figures of this. And the accessories could be a reference to the drops you get upon killing it. You could see a dragon sword, a dragon spear, a pickaxe, mainly weapons, but you could, and these weapons could also be wielded by other random figures if you felt like it. But other accessories could include things like rune talismans. So, yeah, you go on. I've said everything about this so far. So if you want to give your own thoughts, you can.
Oh, I was just wondering. I know nothing about RuneScape, but I'm assuming the rune talismans, could they be like cyber planet keys for these?
Possibly. I mean, in context of the game, there is a skill called rune crafting, and we'll see more of those in the next slide. But the talismans are used to locate the altars that you need to go to in order to craft these runes in the first place.
I see.
I mean, you could probably find a lot. Like if you look these up on either of the RuneScape wikis, either old school or RuneScape 3, you probably get a better idea. But the runes are used for magic spells, and you know what? I think we can go to the next slide because expanding a little bit more, I was thinking that maybe as a little bonus, you could have a bunch of runes that transform into little robot modes, not that dissimilar to the Fall of Cybertron data discs.
I was just about to mention those actually when you brought that up.
Because like you could have like little robot modes with fluorescent paint apps to represent glowing energy that you get from the runes themselves. In case anyone asks, going row by row, you have blood, law, wrath, soul, cosmic, nature, air, water, earth, fire, chaos, body, mind, death. And a couple more accessories you could have on the left-hand side is the Dragon Scimitar. And also the anti-fire Dragon Shield. And if no one was keen on the idea of the Calphite Queen being a transformer, there are two other creatures that came to mind. The top one is called the Stock Jad. That is over level 700. I think that is what specifically dethroned the Calphite Queen. And the dragon on the bottom is called Elvarg, and I bring her up specifically because she is the boss, you could say, in the hardest of the free-to-play quests, Dragon Slayer. And looking at her, like, in terms of what molds you could use for each of these, I honestly don't know. Like, even with Elvarg, I don't think the legacy Transmetal 2 Megatron would work because that's a bipedal dragon, whereas this is obviously a quadruped, in which case Prime Predaking comes to mind. But yeah, I didn't really have a set idea for this one. Just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks.
You could also use the Tigatron engineering for the dragon, considering it's a quadruped with wings.
You mean do you mean Tiger Hawk?
Tiger Hawk. I'm sorry, not Tigatron. Yes.
Careful, if you misname one more creature, you'll get demoted.
Yeah, I just, it's just cool. It's obviously never going to happen because while RuneScape is a fairly popular game in its own right, it's still in the grand scheme of things really niche.
Yeah. I mean, you say that, but it has broken out into the wider meme culture. I'm sure you're familiar with the one image of the guy in RuneScape saying "buying GF."
Actually, I'm not. Like I said, I actually stopped playing RuneScape before I even started this YouTube thing, and yet for some reason I decided to name my channel after it. Oh well, I kind of like the runic theme I set for myself.
But yeah, the buying GF meme is the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of this game. That and the little gnome boy with the dunce cap. that almost made it into the thumbnail. The little gnome boy. But yeah, RuneScape is one game I have otherwise zero exposure to. It just wasn't a thing that was on my radar.
Yeah,
but
so it's like Club Penguin but fantasy, right?
I think you might have insulted him.
If we go back to the first slide, RuneScape slide, I will say that the initial design for the Calphite Queen in her land-based form might have been a better choice because the design is looks fairly similar to a stag beetle, and when I think that, I think it could ape the transformation of Chop Shop and Shrapnel.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe, but the abdomen seems a little bit small for that.
Well, no, like I'm not referring to this design on screen. It looks radically different from this one. If you look up the Calphite Queen on old school RuneScape wiki, you probably find it if you scroll the way to the bottom. I think they updated the design in 2007.
Oh, it's this. I think it's the second image on Google Images here. I see it. Okay, yeah, no, I could see that working. Yeah. Yeah. You were right to put it in this category. I don't ever see this happening, but it's a neat concept. Transformers in a fantasy setting isn't something that has been explored too much. Obviously, there was Age of Extinction or Last Night that sort of worked with that concept, but not
Honestly,
really.
Night Transformers is just peak. It
Yeah.
it just sucks that it was tied into two very shitty movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
More
Also, yes, Night
robots.
Transformers are
More
cool.
robots should look like knights.
I mean, why do you think I got Tobot Paragon?
True.
I love that toy. We need to do an episode. We need to do an episode where I can talk about Tobot Paragon at some point. See if we can get KR Brickbot as a guest speaker.
Never heard of him.
We'll talk about this later.
Okay. So yeah, there's only one crossover left. So let's hear the voice from the outer world.
Do, 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 do. Yes. My idea for a crossover is the Dune setting, specifically Paul Verhoeven's interpretation of Dune. And for my example, I decided to make one of my favorite things from the Dune films as a transformer, the Harkonnen Ornithopter. The Ornithopters were a big highlight for me in the Dune films. I thought they were really cool. And I thought that the more militarized, bulky designs of the Harkonnen Ornithopters would suit a Transformers design the best and make a very good, intimidating, Blackout-inspired Transformers figure. Yes. The design for this was... I was originally planning on modeling it in Blender, but I didn't. I drew it. And the idea for this would be that the transformation is partially inspired by animated Blackout, with the sides of the helicopter, or the sides of the ornithopter, becoming the arms. With, of course, you can see on the side of the ornithopter it having weapons arrays, and those weapons arrays being accessible in robot mode, and the canopy splitting in half and becoming the chest. And then the leg transformation is a little different, just by making the whole tail end of the ornithopter become the legs instead of splitting off into a weapon. The design for Harkonitron, I know, very inspired name, Pardon?
There was a huge missed opportunity.
Oh?
Giedi Prime.
Yeah, but then I'd have to make it a good guy.
No, you wouldn't. Giedi Prime's a shithole.
Yeah, but Prime is the name of the hero.
Yeah, well, there can be evil primes.
Okay,
Nemesis
true.
Prime.
Yeah. Giedi Prime.
Okay, fine. Well, anyway. Harkonitron was the name that came to mind, and I'll be honest, I didn't put that much thought into the name, but the design is inspired by the Harkonnen suspender troops, as pictured in the bottom left, about to be hit over the head by Paul's mother, but it was the best image I could find. The Harkonnen suspender troops, just because they stood out to me design-wise in the film so much, and
they got really funky helmets.
They do, but I like.
They remind me a lot of Combine troops from Half-Life.
They do. Honestly, a lot of the Harkonnen aesthetic from those films reminds me a lot of the Combine.
Yeah,
in a good way.
Dude, don't get me wrong. I fucking love the Combine. I think both of us were considering Half-Life 2 as a possible option.
Yes.
For a crossover.
Yeah. Half-Life 2 was my original idea, but then I mentioned Dune to you, and you put that in the thumbnail, and I just ran with it.
I thought you already picked Dune.
I don't know. Game of telephone. I like where it turned out anyway. But yeah, I but I like the design I came up with. I feel like it's reminiscent of obviously it's reminiscent of Blackout from the Michael Bay films, but I think it's also somewhat reminiscent of Obsidian from Beast Machines, of course, with the somewhat, I suppose, vestigial legs. I imagine if this was a toy, it would come with a stand, so you could have him hovering in the air in robot mode. I also like to imagine this guy would come with the lasgun as an accessory. Of course, in the Dune films, the Harkonnen troops have access to lasguns, which are just laser guns, but they look very cool once again. And another idea I had, but not as fleshed out, was for a kangaroo mouse Beast Wars style transformer called Mahadibot. I suppose we could consider him the Fremen counterpart to Harkonatron / the Maximal counterpart to Harkonatron's Viacons. And he would be one with the ways of the desert and probably have a similar transformation to the rabbit transformer from Beast Wars Neo.
Stampy.
Stampy, yes. He'd probably transform similar to Stampy, I imagine.
Sorry, you were talking about mice that attracted Rusty.
Oh no. He's hungry.
Yeah.
Another idea.
You want to eat Muad'Dib, Rusty?
He would. Another idea I actually had while I was talking about this podcast to my half brother was do you remember the large airships from the second film?
Airships.
You know the airships that were used to bombard the Fremen hideout.
Yes.
Yes, you know those.
I don't really remember what they look like though, but
big,
I know
ugly,
I know the scene you're talking
cocoon-looking
about.
things.
Yeah, probably.
And like all rounded.
So.
I imagine
Yeah.
that would be the perfect fit to make into a transformer inspired by Baron Harkonnen himself. Very fat and round, floating through the air.
Ugly. The book calls him gross so many times. He just describes his gross body.
Well, Frank Herbert was not known for his eloquence in writing. But yeah, a big gross transformer that turns into one of the Harkonnen airships was another idea I had.
Yeah.
But
there
I didn't
aren't
have
a
time to put
whole
that in.
lot of exploitable vehicles in the Dune universe. But, I mean, there is another method of transportation that I think may be going unmentioned. And that is, of course, Shai-Hulud themselves.
I did consider the Shai-Hulud, but I just couldn't figure out how to make a sandworm transformer cool.
Yeah.
It's just a
I had
worm.
an idea for a Studio Series Driller years ago where there would be like 3 different kinds of Decepticon protoforms. There would be a head, a body segment, and a tail. And, you know, they turn into different robots. And the idea is you could get like as many body segments as you want to make it as long as you want. And you'd have a head and the tail at either end. And I thought maybe that could be a cool way to make a sandworm where it's like this big segmented combiner, and each of the segments turns into like a different like Fremen robot.
So you're basically proposing a remake of the Animorphs T-Rex.
Yeah, but good.
I suppose
the idea is that like they're all roughly the same size, so that you just buy a whole shit ton of body segments to make the long worm.
Okay, I get that. That's an interesting idea, but like to be feasible to do that, you'd have to make them like Chugcratic, to make them like core class.
Yeah, well, listen, RuneScape suggested making a Transformer out of a dead game. I can suggest making the consumer buy 20 of the same toy.
To make a worm.
Reality is out the window.
Fair enough.
We can do whatever we want.
Okay, fair enough. But still, the Harkonnen. Look, I'm just gonna say, aesthetically, the Harkonnen stuff was what stood out to me about the Dune films. That was the coolest part for me.
Yeah, the ornithopters are fucking amazing.
They were so good.
Would you make could you imagine like a retooled Darth Vader Death Star that turns into prissy Christopher Walken? I know, Runestone, you haven't seen these movies, but Christopher Walken plays the Padishah Emperor, and he flies around in a giant spherical spaceship. So that's the joke.
And you could have little Sardaukar figures that go in it.
Yes. I love it.
Oh yeah, the Sardaukar also had vehicle. Oh, I should have had an idea for a Sardaukar transformer as well, because they had those airships.
I don't remember any vehicles that they use.
They had like drop ships. That were like,
yeah, but you only see those for like 30 seconds in the film.
Listen, Star Wars toys have been made of things that appeared in the background for like a 2-second shot. I can imagine a toy of the drop ships that the Sardaukar used.
I guess. Okay. You could make a big spice harvester.
A spice harvester transformer would be cool as well.
Imagine like a spice harvester that turns into like a Grandis alike.
Yeah. Honestly, I was imagining like Cybertron Metroplex.
Yeah, either would work, I guess.
Maybe a jump ship that turns into a navigator.
Yeah, well, the navigators didn't appear in Denis Villeneuve's movies. So.
Hey, there's always Messiah.
True.
And from what I understand, a navigator is a pretty important character in the Messiah book. So maybe
I'm still 2/3 of the way through Dune. I haven't started Messiah.
Yes, but you spoiled yourself by reading the wiki.
I did.
So did I. It's fine.
But yeah, I think that's everything as far as the actual crossover ideas go. We just have 3 questions from the audience. The first one from DN Prime 17. Would one of the following work as collaborative figures? Mega Man, F-Zero, Metroid, Pokemon, and Digimon. Well, 3 of those are Nintendo, so I don't see any of those being very feasible. Mega Man, maybe, but I don't know of any. I don't know shit about Mega Man, so I don't know any.
Well, the thing about Mega Man is I can't really think. Well, I suppose there's the Dr. Wily bosses; those could be made into Transformers.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of.
But like Mega Man, from my understanding, doesn't really have any hero vehicles that are like iconic to the series.
Yeah,
not that I can think of from the top of my head.
And as far as Digimon goes, Bandai already have their own toy line to do the exact same thing that a Hasbro collab would do. So I don't really know what you want with that.
I do think an F-Zero collab would be really cool, though.
Of course it would.
Captain
Falcon.
Captain Falcon, a transformer of his car. Just a transformer of all of the F-Zero cars would be cool. Metroid, I feel like, runs into the same problem as Mega Man, where the only thing I can really think of being a transformer is Miss Metroid herself's ship. Of course, I mean Samus. Samus's ship.
I wasn't gonna correct you.
I know, but I was banking on the fact that someone would probably correct me.
We have had 0 viewers for the past hour, dude.
Oh no.
Okay,
It's
besides
fine.
Rusty.
It's fine. We'll have back watches.
Yeah.
I think there was some sort of April Fool's prank of a rat trap being customized into Pikachu.
Really?
Like
Was that-
if you type in like rat trap Pikachu, you'll find like some sort of magazine scan, and like it was an April Fool's joke.
Oh yes, I see. I see.
Ah.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But yeah, F-Zero and Pokemon, I feel like have potential because with Pokemon you could do Beast Wars style characters.
I'm also just finding a lot of pictures of Pikachu in a mousetrap.
Yeah.
Startlingly large number of those.
I think there's the same sort of animus towards Pikachu in the Pokemon fandom as there is towards Bumblebee in the Transformers fandom.
This is gonna be the new logo of the Chugcratic seminar. I'm sorry. I'm just reacting to something I posted in chat.
I saw. I think that's a draw phone drawing.
But yeah, Runestone, you actually have experience with the transforming Digimon figures. So, like, what do you think? I mean, first of all, this is Bandai and Hasbro. I don't know how well they would work together.
I mean, they have worked together before. In fact, Bandai recently made a Zoids Liga Zero Soul of Chogokin figure, so they can work together. At least,
Okay,
at least
it's just Takara they hate.
No. It was Takara they worked with.
Oh. Oh well, I guess I'm just stupid then.
It was Takara. Yeah, it was Takara they worked. I think it's Hasbro they hate, actually.
That'd be kind of funny.
The thing about the Digimon toys is that it's basically the transforming toys that they make are just the evolutions of the monsters in that world, rather than monsters that transform into humanoid robots of sorts. I mean, I guess it'd be cool for some of them, but
would it just be like a robot that turns into Agumon or something? Like in terms of a Hasbro crossover. Greymon, whatever. Whoever is the most popular.
Well, I mean,
oh man, one of my friends is really into Digimon. He's gonna kill me for not knowing anything.
There's potentially Metal Greymon or War Greymon. Actually, Garurumon and his evolutions might be a better fit.
I mean, the thing is, isn't a Digimon who turns into a humanoid robot kind of a thing that's already a relatively common thing within Digimon itself?
It might be for certain monsters.
Yeah, but this time it'll be Angela Anaconda. That's the robot mode.
Oh God.
God, even I know that lore. Oh, have you ever seen that one story about how Angela Anaconda caused someone's parents' marriage to break down?
Yeah, that story's legendary.
Okay, I think we have strayed very far from the original topic of the question now.
So DM Prime, if your answer is yes, Hasbro should make an Angela Anaconda Transformer. Moving on. Baron Harkonex says, we've seen mainline figures get retooled for crossovers, and there's been some speculation about crossover molds being retooled for mainline. I think this is referring to everyone thinking that the Ford Explorer from the Jurassic Park set was supposed to be Legacy Skids, and that turned out to not be the case. Do you think this is a possibility? And if so, what's something they could do? I mean, yeah, I think it's always possible.
I mean, the one that comes off the top of my head is actually was it Volvo collaborative?
Yes.
The Optimus Prime. Yes, the Volvo collaborative Optimus Prime. If they did, Robot Hero Optimus Prime / G2 Sure Shot would be my go-to choice for a collaborative mold being redone for mainline, perhaps Legacy or whatever they comes after Legacy. That would be my first choice.
I'd honestly like the aforementioned Dilophoncon retooled into a new Beast Wars Iguanus. Or Crazy Bolt.
God, I actually don't have any ideas on hand, but I could easily see them reusing Maverick's engineering for someone in the future.
I mean, they could make Maverick into the they could use Maverick's engineering for the I mentioned them earlier, the Cyberjets, yes. Yeah. And of course Harkonatron into Legacy animated Blackout. It's gonna happen.
I don't know if Wave the Diora crossover figure would make for any suitable retool. I can't think of any.
No,
but of course, the Calphite Queen could be turned into any number of Insecticon. It reminded me in particular of Prime Bombshell or whatever his name was. Hardshell.
I was actually thinking of the Cybertron game Insecticons. I think it would work well as one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's off the table unless like there's something about those new molds that those other companies are like, yeah, you cannot use these. You cannot use them for your own toys.
I mean, apparently Walmart got really sniffy about Netflix Soundwave, so
yeah, and they didn't even collaborate to make the toy; they just had it made.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, this was going to be an exclusive, but you couldn't release it. Well, you're not allowed to release it anywhere else now." It's like,
yeah.
What? Anyway,
but yeah, the final question. Sandworm88. I love that all of these names are still Dune themed. What crossovers do you feel shouldn't happen or couldn't work? Or was there a crossovers toy you want stricken from history or forgotten? I mean, obvious answer, Animorphs.
Yeah. Yeah, Animorphs. Crossovers that should not happen, I suppose.
$80 Optimus Prime.
Yeah, $80 1/60th Optimus Prime. Oh, I got one. Pixar's Cars should never be made into a Transformers toy line.
You don't want Lightning McPrime and Matertron 2-pack?
No, I don't want Lightning McQueen's big lips on the front of a Carbot's torso. No. The only way I would accept
feels on my body.
The only way I would accept that happening is if like they did it so that it was like normal car versions of the cars from Cars that then transform into robots who are themed after the Cars characters.
Could you imagine a Hudson Hornet Transformer? That would be peak.
Okay, that would be very cool. Okay, maybe this crossover has legs. Okay.
And all you'd have to change is the windshield because, like, his face is just the bumper.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, they'd probably sculpt it with him. Like, they'd probably sculpt him with, like, a smirk on him or something.
Oh, true. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. But I don't know. There are no crossovers that I'm actively hoping don't happen. I suppose. I can't think of any I would be upset about explicitly. Barring things that are just like comically out there.
Yeah, even some of the bad crossovers we've seen before, I wouldn't mind revisiting them. Just make the toys good, you know? Like, I don't think that a crossover couldn't work just because of what it's crossing over with. It's just the quality of the toy that matters.
Yeah.
But also, at the same time, they shouldn't cross over with My Little Pony ever again because any fans of that would be completely insufferable.
You're telling me you don't like the Brony fandom?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Kit, we're Transformers fans. We're like one step away from Bronies.
Yeah, but at least we're less pink.
True, we like a boys' toy line. That makes us cool.
Yeah, it's for real men. Put some hair on your chest. It's fucking like... I'm just imagining a Transformer fan being like, "Ugh, you should watch Transformers. That's a real man show." And it's just like that scene from Armada where the three kids are just cheering up Hotshot and making silly faces.
Hey, that was a deep emotional moment right there.
Runestone, please say something.
Like, no offense to the artist associated with this, but the J Balvin redeco of Soundwave honestly is kind of forgettable to me.
I think that's just more of like an art piece than a real collab.
I mean, it was sold as a collab, so
still, but I think that was just more for expedience and what's the word? Convenience than anything else. It's sort of like how sometimes sorry to talk about this again, but in F1 sometimes like artists will make like special liveries for cars that never really go out on track, but they still call it a collaboration when all it is just an art car. It really feels like that sort of thing, except you can actually buy this one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't seem bad. It just seems like, I don't know, what if Soundwave turned into a cassette player? Well, not even a cassette player from the 80s, because Soundwave is a cassette player from the 80s, but a cassette player with the aesthetic of the, I don't know, early 90s, I suppose.
G2 Soundwave.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just headcanon it as G2 Soundwave. It's fine.
A lot of people do.
Do they? Oh.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It is by no means an original thought on my part.
You've never had an original thought, Kit.
This is true. I am an NPC.
It's very sad.
Yeah, Yeah.
I bet you saw Dune and you thought, wow, Paul is literally me.
How did you know?
Because I thought it too.
Check the Discord chat.
Yes, please. Oh no! No! I can't.
Okay, but if it was done like that,
please describe to the audience what heinous material you've just sent to my eyes, because I don't have the stomach to.
When you mentioned MLP, because I've heard this discussed, Beast Machine's Basic Class Battle Unicorn was proposed as like a redeco of that, as one of MLP's characters was proposed as a convention exclusive.
Twilight Sparkle, I believe you're talking about.
It's kind of sussy that you know that character's name, Char.
I have friends who are into My Little Pony.
I'm sorry.
Don't worry, they're female.
Okay,
it's okay for them. It's okay when they do it.
All is forgiven.
Didn't they do a
You
comic
still have
book as well?
Yeah.
Pardon?
Yeah, I remember that going around on Twitter.
What do I still have, Kit?
You still have cooties, though.
That is true. That is true. I mean, I'm not the one who lives with a girl.
Oh, yeah, you got me there. Fuck.
Yeah.
Have you done
Yeah,
your
but-
dick measuring contest now?
Excuse me, it's called sword fighting.
You know, considering y'all are back to back in the intro, that would make for a perfect quote for the next episode.
Yeah.
Just saying.
You know what to do, Rune.
I sure do. I've still got to find yet a third line from ID from episode 7.
Oh, man.
But yeah, that brings us to the end of our episode on crossovers. This is probably the worst performing episode to date, but it was fun all the same.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'll commit seppuku for my idea performing so poorly.
Your idea was peak. It's just the audience that doesn't appreciate it.
I know. I'm ahead of my time, aren't I?
You are.
They'll be doing video essays about me in 20 years.
Turkey Tom, definitely Not Char special.
We'll see where my 3D printing career goes. Maybe I'll become a lol cow. I'll have my own Kiwi Farms page. That's when you know you've made it.
But yeah, any closing thoughts from either of you?
Not really, except I had a lot of fun. Oh, homework. This month's homework. I want you to tell me. I want to know what your ideas for crossovers are.
Char, no one showed up for class.
Well, they'll be here for the recorded lecture. It's fine.
Will they, or will they just have it playing while they sleep?
Listen, I got through college. That way, so I can't blame them.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah.
So is that everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. In that case, I have been Paul Muad'Dib Atreides, and I've been joined by Lisan Al Gaib and Runestone. And this has been the 9th Chugcratic seminar. Class dismissed.